holiday carols throughout the night on NEP Christmas All Night. In your car, listen to Newswatch 16 on WKRZ AM 1340.
Proud to serve Northeastern and Central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, pilot Jack Rulin in Skycam 16, Chief Meteorologist Tom Clark, and Joe Zone on sports. This is Newswatch 16.
Good evening. Well, we certainly don't have to tell you that winter has arrived.
And with it, nasty weather and dangerous road conditions. It is the first day of winter, and all over northeastern and central Pennsylvania, people spent the day shoveling snow and slush and cleaning up from traffic accidents. In Lackawanna County, there were some tense moments today when this tanker truck flipped over on Interstate 81, spilling methanol all over the road. In just a moment, Newswatch 16's Dan Fiorucci will have more on this crash and the evacuation of a nearby town. Newswatch 16's Bob Reynolds will tell us how this car wound up so close to this home in South Abington Township. It happened on a controversial road in Lackawanna County. The driver is hospitalized, the homeowner shaken up. Nolan?
Karen, by far the worst road conditions we found today were in Lycoming County. This is what it was like all over that area. Many cars stuck on the icy roads, spinning tires, caught in piles of snow. Even a push couldn't free this vehicle in old Lycoming Township. Further down on Mill Lane, police guided traffic, and snowplows finally made their first swipe at about 11 a.m. through the 4-inch snowfall. School kids loved it. Their buses were late and the snowballs were great. Some schools closed for the day. Snow shoveler Paul Steffen found the stuff a lot heavier than expected.
For 9 years, and if I keep on shoveling, I guess I can shovel for 9 more years.
Wow!
And while traffic problems were obvious in Lycoming County today, these drivers in Cogan Station had no problems whatsoever.
But there is some concern tonight about just what the conditions will be like later on. Let's find out about that now. Tom Clark is in his weather office. Tom, how about it?
Okay, Karen, now over the area, nothing more than a little bit of drizzle left over from last night's icy combination of snow, sleet, and freezing rain. And along with that, just some fog in the mountains. So nothing heavy falling now from the sky, but my latest weather map here shows another very strong cold front now crossing into central Pennsylvania, and that's going to cause the bottom to drop out of the old thermometer again later tonight. Now behind me on my computer graphic here, let's take a shot of that. I can show you what the temperature trend is going to be tonight. About 7 o'clock tonight, 35 degrees. And then about midnight tonight, temperatures I expect to be close to 29, bottoming out at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning of 17 degrees. So indeed, everything that is slush now will begin to freeze as we approach midnight. And I suspect roads will be wet through 9, 10 o'clock tonight. And then along about midnight, 1 a.m., icy spots will develop for sure. Karen and Nolan?
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be back to you, of course, Tom, for the complete weather. One of the worst accidents happened this morning on Interstate 81 in Scott Township, Lackawanna County. Traffic was snarled and people were evacuated because of a jackknife tractor trailer carrying methanol. More on that now from Newswatch 16's Dan Fiorucci.
It began about mid-morning with firemen shutting down Interstate 81 in both directions in the vicinity of Scott Township.
Exit 57. You get on 611 north, all right?
Motorists backed up in a monumental traffic jam had no idea what was going on and could only watch as rescue vehicles went by.
Over there is the reason the traffic is tied up. A truck containing over 7,000 gallons of methanol fell over and spilled its cargo. Right now, firemen are diluting the methanol with as much water as possible to reduce the danger of a flash fire.
As far as dangerous chemicals go, how does methanol rate?
One of the worst.
One spark and it could ignite explosively?
One spark and it could go.
Keep your windows rolled up and extinguish all cigarettes.
Because methane vapors are explosive, the nearby town of East Benton had to be evacuated.
We have a police emergency. Would you please evacuate the residents?
Most residents seem to take the evacuation in stride.
Does the situation worry you at all?
Not really.
Figure it's just the precaution.
That's right.
By mid-afternoon, 14,000 gallons of water had been sprayed on the wreck, and the emergency had passed. And authorities on the scene were wondering how a truck traveling at highway speeds could roll over and rupture without making enough of a spark to light up its flammable cargo.
7,000 gallons would be a pretty dangerous blast, evidently, if it went up.
Well, let's get the feeling somebody's watching over at Christmas.
I guess. Somebody's watching over Scott Township.
Dan Fiorucci, Newswatch 16 on Interstate 81 near East Benton.
As we told you earlier, another accident related to the cold, nasty weather has renewed a hot controversy in South Abington Township. Newswatch 16's Bob Reynolds talked to some people in Lackawanna County who are up in arms over an ice-slicked road.
My heart was in my throat because if the children were out, they do play in this area. And I just shudder to think what really could have happened. I really do.
Karen Liptock was at home when this car skidded on Fairview Road in South Abington Township and nearly ended up plowing into her living room. The driver of the car, Judith Ann Lomeo, was admitted to Scranton's Community Medical Center.
If she hadn't hit that tree, it would have been through our family room. I could have gotten killed.
Liptock and some others say PennDOT does not do enough to keep ice from building up. This isn't the first time there's been a near disaster. I'm told in 1981 the ice was so bad on this road that a car slid and careened, smashing into this house.
The water runoff creates a heck of an ice flow, and we've been complaining, and I think we've had a lot of other people calling too.
We have accidents here every so often because of the ice condition in the road.
PennDOT says there have been 3 ice-related accidents on Fairview Road in the last 3 years. PennDOT says that's not unusual, but admits the controversial road does not get top billing when it comes to plowing and cindering.
We don't have an unlimited amount of resources, and we're allocating our resources based primarily on the amount of traffic.
PennDOT promises to investigate the complaints about this road. Some residents here hope something is done before someone gets killed. Bob Reynolds, Newswatch 16, Lackawanna County.
For the most part, this morning's messy weather slowed down most of us and down just a little bit. But as Newswatch 16's Mark Davis reports, it also slowed some holiday plans.
Sloppy, slippery, and slow. That describes what faced most of us this morning. For some, it meant getting to work a little bit late or leaving a little bit early. For those trying to get somewhere in time for Christmas, it put those plans back just a bit.
Something like that to tell them just ain't no way I can get down there this evening on this bad weather and stuff.
Bill Hartman's a trucker from Roanoke, Virginia. He's trying to deliver his last load and then make it home for the holidays.
Well, it's put me 5.5, 6 hours behind the schedule I had for myself to be home, you know, trying to get home for Christmas.
But truckers weren't the only ones with Christmas plans slowed by this winter storm.
I've been in Florida for 11 years, so I'm sort of remembering what I used to do and try and do it.
Father S.H. Shaw is heading for Christmas in Georgia, but those plans have now been pushed back just a little bit. For the truckers like Bill Hartman and for the drivers like Father Shaw, now is the time to make up the time they lost after the storm. It's only raining now, and they want to get to where they're going before it gets any colder. Mark Davis, Newswatch 16 off Interstate 81 in Luzerne County.
Newswatch 16 continues with a proposal to turn some interstate highways into toll roads.
Plus, we'll visit with some guys who hit the lucky number.
With the holiday season approaching, Mrs. Claus and I would like to show you a few ways your Red Cross contribution spreads love all through the year. In every season, in many ways, your Red Cross chapter must be ready to serve you.
Please join us in supporting this year's Red Cross holiday campaign.
Charging tolls on Interstate 80 and 70 in Pennsylvania could happen by 1990. That's what a state toll road task force wants in order to finance new toll roads and the rebuilding of I-80 and I-70. But to make it happen, the U.S. Congress has to approve, plus Pennsylvania might have to repay all or part of the federal money used to build the interstates. The governor says he'll study the plan, which now must be approved by the legislature.
It's been a good year for the Pennsylvania State Lottery and for the people who play it. Lotto sales are now averaging up to $10 million a week. And thanks to the lottery, 73 people will be spending their first Christmas as millionaires. Newswatch 16's Craig Stevens talked with 2 of the latest winners in Lycoming County today.
You probably wouldn't expect to find a pair of millionaires in this Williamsport bar, but if you look hard enough, they're here. 27-year-old Rick Fulmer and his pal, 35-year-old Skip Craven, both of Williamsport, are splitting over $1 million. They won the money in Friday's Pennsylvania lotto drawing. That's because they've been splitting a lotto ticket for over a year. How does it feel?
Real good.
What do you plan to do?
Same thing I've been doing.
Which is?
Work in the bar.
Why don't you quit?
Can't afford to. Now I'm going to just keep working.
That's because they'll each only get about $24,000 each year for the next 20 years. Now, it's nothing to sneeze at, but they would have gotten a lot more money if 4 other people hadn't had all 6 winning numbers with a $5 million jackpot. The extra income will help Skip Craven, who was laid off from his job last week. What's he going to do?
Invest it, you know, for the future. Take care of the family and this and that. Other than that, I'm not going to get a car and that's it.
Did you ever think it could happen to you?
I was hoping it would happen to me, you know. I mean, no, but in reality, no.
The 2 bachelors don't plan on getting married now, but they are willing to meet a few ladies. Rick Fulmer and Skip Craven say their lives aren't going to change a bit, and they're going to keep on doing what they have been doing. One other thing, they do want to become the first 2 people ever to win the Pennsylvania Lotto 2 times. Craig Stevens, Newswatch 16, Williamsport.
And our millionaire meteorologist, Tom Clark, is up next with his forecast.
Any pennies from heaven coming down, Tom?
No, but buy my clothes from pennies, so far from a millionaire, that's for sure. We have so much cold air on the way, folks, for the big holiday weekend that, well, you're not going to want to be outside, that's for sure. Let me give those details to you from the backyard when we come back.
All of you, not only around holiday time, but the whole year around. Slow in the bottle. Enjoy the road.
Several hundred people who live in the Wyoming Valley will have a brighter Christmas this year. They formed a long line this morning outside the Salvation Army in Wilkes-Barre. For most, it was well worth the wait because once inside, the needy families got to choose from tables full of toys, gifts to make their children's Christmas a bit merrier. After picking the presents, the people were given food for their Christmas dinners, a loaf of bread and a roasting chicken.
Let's find out about the weather for the Christmas coming up. I bet that'll be in Tom's forecast. How about it, Tom?
We'll answer the question if it's going to be white or not. Karen and Nolan. Hey,
well?
Okay, patience. We'll get it for you. The backyard now, just a sloppy mess of mud and muck and slush and melted snow. The snow amounted to about 1 inch in this backyard, but in some of the highest elevations of northeastern Pennsylvania, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of snow fell late last night from that storm that was coming through. Now, you melt it all down, and I come up with about 3/4 of an inch in the rain gauge in this backyard. Now, as we told you, many of the roads now are wet. Let me show you one of them as it looks. That's 307 up there in Scranton, and cars traveling along quite nicely, just wet at the moment, but things will change later on tonight. Okay, the Newswatch 16 Holiday House for a Thursday night, and there it is there. It belongs to Gordon Herr, and they live at RD2 in Hughesville, out there in Lycoming County. And look at all those lights blinking away. That's a nice sight. Santa Claus can't miss it on his journey across central Pennsylvania. Look at that temperature now. We have 38 in the backyard. The humidity 95%. It is close. The wind southwest to 12. The old barometer is rising from 29.79 inches. High today 41. The low last night 22. Normals 34 and 21. Look at the record high set back in 1949. That was quite nice. Now, the Newswatch 16 satellite photograph taken from deep in outer space over the equator. There are all the clouds in the eastern seaboard. We now have a strong cold front crossing Pennsylvania, but it's clearing out behind it. And I suspect the skies will clear here later on tonight, and the moon will come out, and temperatures will plummet down into the teens by daybreak tomorrow. Very cold air across the nation. 70 low temperature records either tied or broken this morning across the area. Bright sunshine in Minneapolis, St. Paul this afternoon. However, the temperature could only reach 13 below zero for a high. And as we go to the computer, I can show you where our weather is going to be coming from for this weekend. The computer graphic will show the U.S., Canada, and Alaska. Now, for us to have a semi-comfortable weekend, we'd want that flow to come in from the west. However, take a look what's going to be happening Saturday and Sunday. The flow coming right down from the Arctic Circle into Pennsylvania. The old Arctic Express is underway this weekend, folks. Bitter cold air coming in, and believe me, it is going to be very uncomfortable outside. Now, here's what we have for tonight. Clearing skies later on, a hard freeze. Shovel any slush off your pavement or driveway now before it freezes, otherwise it'll become part of the pavement by morning. Temperatures bottoming out in the teens, upper teens, 14 in Avis. A few snow flurries could come in later on tonight, and roads could become icy by midnight tonight. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow, a sharp, biting wind from the west up to 25 miles per hour at times. Look at your temperatures, only near 20 for highs on a Friday. Your health watch looks like that right there. Resistance to aches and pains about average. Concentration very high tomorrow. It's Friday. A good day to do some thinking. Now, clearing tonight, some fog will linger in the mountains, partly sunny tomorrow. Bitter cold on Saturday, 14 the high on Saturday. Christmas Day, dry, some sunshine, only 17 degrees, and it'll stay cold into Monday. Driving this weekend, still no problem weather-wise, but do bundle up. Some of the coldest air we've seen in years coming in this weekend.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Okay, Tom.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Joe Owen is next with the Sports Star of the Week.
Plus, he'll have a preview of the Aloha Bowl.
Experience the color, pageantry, and elegance of a special Christmas Mass, celebrated in the true Byzantine Ukrainian tradition. WNEP-TV is proud to present Christmas Mass from St. Nicholas Church in Minersville.
We have seen his star out in the east, and we have come to worship him.
This special Christmas service will be presented at 10 Christmas morning, right here on WNEP-TV 16.
College weekend football, right?
That's right. It all begins this weekend. A long week of college football bowl games. There's the Holiday Bowl to get it going tomorrow. That starts it off. It ends the day after New Year's with the Sugar Bowl. In between, the Aloha Bowl. Penn State 7-4-1 against Washington. They're 8-3. The Nittany Lions and the Huskies are very similar. Both have better than average quarterbacks. Doug Strang for Penn State, 19 touchdowns, almost 2,000 yards in 259 attempts. For Washington, Steve Pallure, he completed 67% of his passes for over 2,200 yards and 11 touchdowns.
You know, this team doesn't make those kind of mistakes. I think they know what they're supposed to do, and they make little mistakes. And I think that's, for us, we got to, when they don't make a lot of mistakes, we just got to try to come at them with everything we have.
From what I've seen, they're very good physically, and they're a sound defense. They don't do a lot of crazy things because they don't have to with the athletes they've got.
Pallure's favorite receiver is Danny Green. 37 catches for 599 yards, and he runs back punt returns with the best of them. Strang's favorite guy is flanker Kenny Jackson. He caught 7 TD passes, and he's a speedster who can break off the long runs.
So I think it'll be interesting just from the standpoint of, West and the East again, trying to see, what style of football is really better.
Great running in this game, too. Penn State has John Williams, 590 yards and 5.1 yards per carry. And DJ Dozier, the sensational freshman, 1,002 yards and a 5.8 yards per carry and 7 touchdowns. The Huskies' 2 guys are Jacques Robinson, who averaged 6.2 a carry. He's got 4 touchdowns. And Sterling Hines, 826 yards and 5 TDs. The defensive people will have their work cut out for them in this one. In some ways, Penn State and Washington have had disappointing seasons, but a win in the Aloha Bowl would at least allow for a positive end to the 1983 season. Penn State and Washington, Monday night, 8 o'clock. You can see it here on 16, and incidentally, tomorrow at 4, an Aloha Bowl preview. Northwest area head coach Eddie Gajewski will be back on the bench tomorrow night, and that's good news. He's been in Lancaster General Hospital the past 2 days undergoing tests for his heart. His doctors have decided against surgery and will treat him instead with drugs. He and his son, who's a doctor, will be on the bench tomorrow night when Northwest plays Danville. Gajewski, you'll remember, won his 699th game on Tuesday. That is a state record. When you talk swimming in northeastern Pennsylvania, whether you like it or not, and some people don't, you talk Bishop Hoban. That's where this week's Sports Star hangs out. For years, the Bishop Hoban swim team has dominated local competition. They don't just win a lot, they win all of the time. They haven't lost a league dual meet in years. One of the standouts on this year's team is Tim Adams. Last Saturday night, Adams was one of the key people in Hoban's 56-27 win over State College. Tim won the 50 freestyle, swam a leg on the winning medley relay team, and then set a pool record in the 100 back with a time of 58.23.
I set goals in the beginning of the season, and the records, I don't worry about them. I just try and do my best times, and if I break the records, I break them.
As you can see, Tim doesn't spend all of his time in the pool. There's much more to successful swimming than an hour or two of laps at the CYC.
Well, I get up about 5:30 and go to practice at a little after 6, and we practice till 9. Then go to school, and after school, I either come here and lift or do something after school, like running for a couple miles or so.
Tim Adams, last week a pool record. Maybe next time a district or even a state record. He's our swimming sports star of the week. Runners-up this week, George Antol of Hanover, Ken Pointkuski of Nanticoke, Joe Andraco of Bishop Auburn, and Todd Bloom of Bishop Newman. I bet you think you're a sports fan, right? You really support your team, huh? A guy in Miami, he could have told you about support. 82 years old, big Dolphin fan. He was beat up in a parking lot, but refused medical treatment until after he could watch the Dolphins-Jets game on television. After the game, they took him to a hospital. Too late. He died. That's all of it. Give tonight your best shot. I'll see you at 11 o'clock. Boy, can you imagine that? Wait until the end?
Nope.
That's a strange story.
Yeah. And incidentally, Tom Clark has been keeping an eye on some strange weather, and he's going to be back in a little while, right?
Yep, he'll tell us what to expect for tomorrow morning.
WNEP-TV presents a college football doubleheader. On Monday, the day after Christmas at 8 o'clock, the Penn State Nittany Lions will take on the Washington Huskies live from Honolulu, Hawaii in the Aloha Bowl. Then Thursday, December 29th at 8 o'clock, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame will battle it out with the Boston College Eagles in the Liberty Bowl. It's college football at its best. The Aloha Bowl and the Liberty Bowl, both live right here on WNEP-TV 16.
Okay, let's check back with Tom Clark now before we say goodbye tonight.
Tom, what can we expect for tomorrow morning when we're all driving around?
Okay, Karen, first of all, the storm is over, but for tomorrow morning, plenty of bright sunshine, temperatures in the upper teens at rush hour tomorrow. Main roads should be dry and okay for travel. Secondary roads, I suspect there'll be some icy spots there, but no big problem tomorrow morning. Sunshine, but plenty cold. Guys?
Okay,
we'll take the sunshine.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is Newswatch 16 for a Thursday.
Be sure to join us tonight at 11 on the update when we'll have the latest on the weather and the roads.
And of course, Joe will be here, Tom will be here with a fresh forecast on what it'll be like for the entire Christmas weekend. We'll be looking forward to that. World News Tonight is coming up next from ABC. They're going to have more on what the weather is like today across the rest of the country. And I cannot believe that with the sunshine outside in Minneapolis and St. Paul, it only got to minus 14 degrees. That's unbelievable.
Outrageous. And ABC will also have a story on Williamsport's own Grit newspaper. For the team, thanks for being with us.
Enjoy your evening.